Well, hi everyone. It is John C. Morley here, sir, entrepreneur. Welcome to Inspirations for Your Life. I'm glad you decided to join me. It is January 2nd, 2025. We are in a brand new series. As you know, we started last Saturday because half of the week was in last year and half of the week was in this year. Tonight is the last episode for Series 5, Show 1. We are on tonight. Sorry, tomorrow will be the last. This is episode 6 tonight, so we have one more. I was rushing it there. We have one more night left in show 1. So welcome everyone. Great to have you with me here on Inspirations for Your Life. Welcome to another exciting episode of Inspirations for Your Life podcast with your host, myself, John C. Morley, serial entrepreneur, podcast coach, and podcast host. Tonight, we're diving deep into one of the most powerful resources and forces that can shape our personal and professional lives. You know what that is? It's accountability. So, whether you're looking to boost your productivity, enhance your leadership abilities, or strengthen your relationships, accountability you're going to find is going to be the core that unlocks it all. In this episode, I'm going to explore the many facets of accountability and how it can empower you to achieve greater success and fulfillment. So sit back, relax. If you haven't gotten a chance to get yourself a nice, refreshing drink or a snack, go run and do that real quick before we kick off. And we'll get ready to discover how accountability can change your life for the better and make you a better version of yourself. In case you guys are wondering, the master topic for the entire week is From Reflections to Mastery, Building Momentum for a Bold 2025. And if you're wondering, ladies and gentlemen, what the actual granular topic is for tonight, well, I'll be happy to share it with you. It's a really good one, ladies and gentlemen. Tonight's topic, because we're talking about accountability, I'm sure you can probably guess what it's about, but here is the actual granular topic for tonight, everyone. You ready for it? All right. Power of accountability, building trust, strengthening relationships, and driving growth. Series 4, Show 1, episode number 6. So welcome, everyone. It is great to have you with me here on Inspirations for Your Life. Okay. And our first point is personal accountability. So before we can be accountable with anything, we have to first be accountable to ourselves, right? So personal accountability and responsibility. So personal accountability is the foundation of self-growth. When we take responsibility for our actions, we not only strengthen our character, but we also create opportunities for continuous improvement. Owning our choices, both the successes and the failures, allow us to learn and adapt. This level of responsibility lays the groundwork for personal development and success. Now, if we're not personally accountable, well, we can never be accountable in any other facet of our lives because we first have to realize what accountability is and why we want to be accountable. So that is number one. That is the first important point. But there's a lot of people in life, unfortunately, gentlemen, that don't know what accountability is. And not only that, some of them know what it is, but they actually don't want to be accountable. I know that sounds like an oxymoron, but there are some people out there that just kind of want to skate through life. Number 2, which is a really good, point here, and I do want to thank many of the stations. I see a lot of the different radio stations and TV stations have been purchasing my content, which you can on the different media platforms. I really do appreciate that. I see we have 2 new TV stations that started subscribing to our content starting with our January 1st show. So really great to have you with me. We are working hard to keep our time frames right on that 28 or 29-minute mark. If we have guests, we'll probably be at like 58, 59 minutes. So you guys can have that consistency. I know when I had those shows that were only 15 and 17 minutes, it was hard. But now that I'm staying within a time frame and staying consistent, hopefully you guys and more of you will actually license my content. All right. So the next thing when we think about accountability is building trust through accountability. So trust is the cornerstone of success, okay, and the earmark of powerful, great relationships. Now, whether personal or professional, When we hold ourselves accountable, we show others that they can rely on us. That's really important. Accountability creates transparency, which fosters mutual respect and trust in both teams and personal connections. Being consistent is dependable. Through accountability. Now, it strengthens the bond and ensures lasting relationships. I'm sure you've been with people before, whether it's platonic, non platonic, and somebody says they're going to do something, but you know what? They actually don't do it. And then, you don't want to call them on the carpet, but you're like, hey, man, dude, like, I was counting on you. Like, oh, yeah, I just got busy. So what happens? Maybe you give them a second shot, but then after that, you're like, okay, I'm done, right? You just don't have time for people that are going to play these games. Um, so I think a lot of people don't quite understand, what all this means. But accountability is key. All right, and so as I said, it is the cornerstone of any successful relationship, and it's what keeps those relationships lasting. All right, number three, ladies and gentlemen, accountability in relationships. So accountability goes beyond just fulfilling promises or just, hey, can you pick up this for me or can you watch this for me? It goes way beyond that. It's about being honest and showing integrity, owning up to mistakes, and being there for each other in times of need. When both partners, again, whether it's platonic or non platonic, are accountable for their actions, it creates a strong foundation built on trust and understanding. This allows relationships to flourish, and it creates an environment where growth and support are prioritized. And I think that's important. Many times people say, I'm too busy to do that. And if you're too busy to have integrity, if you're too busy to be accountable, well, then I don't have time to be with you. Right? I think that's the most important thing, ladies and gentlemen. There's a lot of people out there that say they're going to do something, but you and I both know that actions speak louder than any words. Number four, ladies and gentlemen, accountability in team dynamics. This could be a not for profit team, this could be your company, this could be a variety of things. It could be at your church or religious organizations. So, accountability and team dynamics embraces accountability to thrive together. When we each understand that a member agrees to take responsibility for their role and their outcome, it enhances collaboration, efficiency, and performance. Accountability ensures that everyone pulls their weight and contributes to the group's success, creating a culture of shared ownership and mutual respect. And so when somebody knows that you've got their back, they are going to be much more likely to trust you and have your back. But this isn't something that you just get overnight. I'm sorry. It's something that takes time. As I said to you before, you can spend more than minutes. You can spend hours. You can spend days, weeks, months, years to build a great relationship. And then in the fraction of a second, you can destroy it. So we really want to understand why it's important to build trust the right way, because sometimes you don't get a second chance, right? You just do not get a second chance. Number five, the role of accountability in conflict resolution. This is a tough one, but it's important. So conflicts are inevitable in life, but how we address them can make all the difference. Accountability plays a key role in resolving conflicts as it encourages individuals to take responsibility for their actions in the situation. By acknowledging mistakes and addressing them openly, we can diffuse tension and work towards constructive solutions that benefit everyone involved. I think that's a very key thing. Owning mistakes and learning from them is number six. So we all make mistakes, right? But the true power comes from owning up to them. Accountability involves recognizing errors without shifting blame and using them as learning opportunities, or I like to say stepping stones. When we own our mistakes, we turn the setbacks into stepping stones towards greater wisdom and resilience. This mindset transforms challenges into opportunities for growth and self improvements. But the thing is, owning up to your mistakes is not easy to do. The easiest thing to do is not make the mistake. But if you do make the mistake, make sure that you own up to the mistake. That is very, very, very key. And I have to tell you that it's important to understand, what it all means and why we approach things a certain way. And I think when we can have, the appreciation to know that everyone makes mistakes. If you don't make a mistake, you're never going to learn. You might say, well, I'm perfect. Well, I'm sorry. If you don't make mistakes in your life, you are never going to learn. So let's get out of our head that we're perfect and let's not worry about making the mistakes, but let's just make sure we do one thing right. We don't repeat the same mistakes over and over again. So doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results, you know what that is, ladies and gentlemen? That is insanity. Okay. Uh, and I have to tell you that, that I think that happens because you think that you're going to get them results, but you know that it's typically it might be hard to understand, but it is the truth. It's the truth, and hopefully that resonates with you. I think if you can appreciate the fact that if you tweak or change one little thing in your life, just one thing, all right, then life can be different. A great person of our time, Neville Goddard, said, we have to live from the wish fulfilled. He also said something very interesting, and that was that when we have these things we're doing and we're not getting where we want to be, it's because we're too attached. We have to let the emotions, we have to let things go through. So when you're doing something, when you're eating, whatever you're doing, you have to observe that. And if you're having thoughts, you have to observe those thoughts, but don't try to control them. And I thought that was really a remarkable thing that he said. I love Neville Goddard's work. And he says a lot about mistakes and how we have to embrace them. So I'm telling you right now, ladies and gentlemen, you should make mistakes, but just don't make the same ones over and over again. Now, I know with a lot of parents, like, oh, you can't make mistakes, you gotta be perfect. They weren't perfect. They made the mistakes, but they just want you to do everything and do it perfectly without making the mistake. But they never really gave you a guidebook to tell you, what you had to do, but they just want to just tell you, oh, you're wrong. Like they need to give you some guidance first. So it's like not reactive, it should be proactive. All right. Number 7, ladies and gentlemen, strengthening integrity with accountability. Integrity, ladies and gentlemen, is so key. Integrity is defined by our consistency of actions, values, methods, and of course, our outcomes. So, accountability strengthens integrity by ensuring that we stay true to our word and our values. Even when no one is watching, we still have to be true to who we are. It's about making decisions that align with our beliefs and take responsibility for the impact and these decisions that we'll have for ourselves and others and affect our character and our path in life. Number 8, ladies and gentlemen, and that is accountability and leadership. Now, I know a lot of you watching or listening to the show say, I'm not going to lead, but you are leading. You might be leading in some group. It could be a family, it could be a class. You're leading. All right. Maybe you're not formally titled as a leader, but let's face it, you're leading. So, number 8 is accountability in leadership and decision making. So, leadership without accountability is empty. It's kind of like thought without action is dead. It goes nowhere, right? You have to take inspired action. Great leaders set example by being accountable for their decisions and actions. By holding themselves to high standards and acknowledging their mistakes, they inspire their teams to do the same. Accountability and leadership fosters a culture of transparency where decisions are made with integrity and the team's best interests at heart. I think that is the most important thing that I can tell you is that when you're a leader, okay, you want to do the right thing, not just for yourself, but for everyone else. And so when you've learned to do the right thing for yourself, then everyone's like, oh, this is so easy. Yeah, it's so easy, but you had to learn, right? You had to learn what it is. So as we're wrapping up this amazing week, I think a lot of people don't understand the importance of planning. And I said this before, if you fail to plan, then you have planned to fail. Does that mean you can't change it? Absolutely not. I mean, you can start out and change it. So one of the things I do is I do my yearly plan and then I do my weekly plan. You might say, gee, I'm nuts. But no, I like the weekly plan because then I can check off things. And you could do a daily plan if you want. And so my weekly plan is like seven little mini daily plans. And they're things like certain lifting certain weights, doing certain posts online. And so when I cross them off or I dot them off, I get this great euphoria feeling. And that happens because of the dopamine that gets released in my brain. So when we learn how to live with consistent, I should say, productive habits, you know what happens? We get closer to what we want, and eventually we reach our desires and our aspirations. But it doesn't happen by just doing it. Our thoughts create reality, right? So you might say, John, well, I'm thinking about $1 million, but I don't have it. Well, so one of the reasons a lot of people falter is because they think about something and then it's not there, and they're like, "Oh, it's not happening." Well, you have to give time for what has already materialized from your past thoughts. So as you think of new things, you have to keep focusing on them, and you have to live the feeling of the wish fulfilled. And he used a very good example, which is that when we do this, and when we do this in a relaxed state, we're able to envision, we're able to feel it. And when we feel it, we're then able to manifest it. Now, I know that sounds crazy, but the truth of the matter is that if you live with resistance, whatever you resist will persist, and whatever you flow, okay, and you kind of let go a little bit and it flows, it will come to you, right? So this is the most important thing I want to share with you guys is that when we're thinking about our goals or our promises like I do, and we're thinking about, what should I do? You could start with something small, but the key, ladies and gentlemen, is to be consistent. It's not about doing something once, it's about doing it over and over again. So you might say, John, I want to post online social media. Great. Well, maybe you can't commit to every day. So commit to once a week or whatever you can commit to. You notice that I have a commitment here to doing, and that's dedication. That's commitment, right? And if I'm traveling, I do the show usually earlier, or I do it wee hours in the morning, but I always get it out before I go to sleep. That's really important. And then I also do the Jay Moore Tech Talk show, which we've had for a while too. And both shows, by the way, are in their fourth season as of Friday, January 3rd, 2025. So the question I want to ask everyone, have you taken the time yet to figure out what you want in 25? And if you haven't taken the time, my question to you is, why not? Are you going to tell me you're too busy? Are you going to tell me that you can't spare 10 or 15 minutes to write down what you really want? That's what I said. 10 or 15 minutes. Okay. You can always do things later, right? And I think sometimes we don't quite get it, but 10 or 15 minutes of our lives can really help set the stage. You might say to yourself, John, I've been doing this for years, nothing changes. Well, That's insanity. You're doing the same thing over and over again. You're expecting different results. That's insanity. I know you're not insane, but that's what Einstein would say. So we need to embrace doing something different. If we're not getting results, well, maybe we have to change what we're doing. If we're not getting results in our weight loss, we've got to ask ourselves, are we logging what we're eating? Are we doing exercises? What are we putting in our mouth? Okay. What kinds of foods are we putting in our mouth? Are we eating anything fried? Like, what's our diet like? Right. So these are things a lot of people don't want to talk about. It's like, oh, no, no, I can eat anything. I can. No, you can't eat anything. You think you can. And so you might say, well, gee, I'm like 20 and I can. Yeah, that's true. But then when you get a little bit older, you're going to find it harder to get rid of that because your body's going to fall into this pattern and then it's hard to get out. Now, if you've had a habit, many of you have had different habits, right? A lot of habits. So, a popular one is people will bite their nails. Uh, Another popular habit that some people have is they might pull up their socks, right? That's another popular habit. What are some other, let's say, popular habits people do? Can anybody think of that? So, some popular habits um, is the two that I mentioned. Those are quite a bit. But popular, I'm going to say bad habits, not good habits now. Okay. So that could be things like waking up in the middle of the night and having a candy bar, right? Other popular bad habits, saying yes to everything. Believe it or not, saying yes to everything. I used to do that for all, and it actually hurts your well being and your health because you don't have time for yourself. People pleasing, procrastinating, road rage. Maybe you're upset because somebody cuts you off, right? I always say that if it doesn't affect my safety or someone else's, just chill, right? Don't get road rage. If you have road rage, that's just gonna get you upset. It's gonna get other people upset, and it could wind up in people getting hurt. So I like to say, let that roll off your back like water in the shower. All right. Nail biting is one. Um, Smoking is a bad habit. Fast food, bad habit. Sitting all day and doing nothing. Um, and another bad habit, believe it or not, is things like, you know, a really popular one that a lot of people have is going to a club all the time. Now, is it bad to do that? No, but you should do it all the time. Putting everything on your credit card is another bad habit, right? Speaking with your mouth full, cracking your knuckles is very bad for you. Picking your teeth in public, picking your nose, right? Forgetting to shave. So I've given you some of these habits, and so maybe when you were younger, you might have pulled your socks up once, right? That might have happened to you. And I know when I was younger, I did this, and I did it for a while, but then I got out of the habit. And what caused the habit was the socks that I had, and I put them on, they weren't they were tight, but they just didn't feel comfortable where they were. And so when I got comfortable where they were, then I got out of that habit. It took a little while. So you can get out of bad habits, okay? But it's not easy to break a bad habit. So also, when you have a good habit, it's hard to break a good habit either because you want to keep doing it because you feel good, right? And I think that's an amazing thing about 2025 in this new year is that we want to start setting a whole bunch of new good habits. And so that happens from our intentions and our behavior. The intentions and the behavior create those good habits. Those good habits allow us to move gradually, not always quickly, toward our passions, toward our promises we set. And then celebrating those mini milestones or large milestones. And I think a lot of people in life are going to stay where they are. You know why? Because they're too lazy to change, right? They don't want to pick up a barbell and maybe do 3 sets of 12 once or twice a day. They can't be bothered watching what they eat, so they're just going to shove anything in their face. They don't care how they are in public. They don't care what kind of image of. I mean, it's rude to pick your nose or to even bite your nails. That's rude, right? So I think when we understand that we want to be somebody that is not drawing attention, right? We want to be someone that fits in. Of course, you could be unique and individual and stuff like that, but we want to do things that allow us to blend in. And of course, that doesn't mean not to be individual, but it means that if we're going to stand out, we're going to stand out for a purpose. Like if we're, speaking or something like that, that's different, right? But if we're just going outside and saying, gee, I think I just want to make a statement, so I'm going to wear a purple hat. Okay, fine, wear a purple hat. But I think a lot of times the reason people do these things is because they are gluttons for wanting attention. And does it really do anything for them? Not really. No. And so thinking about your passions, thinking about your promises, have you thought of at least one or two things that you would like to accomplish before the end of 2025? I'm sure you finished figured that out. And then figure out some steps you can take every day. Maybe you want to write a book, so maybe that's every day, maybe that's working on a chapter, or maybe it's working on 2 pages, or something. The whole idea, and then you have to review these promises and take your temperature, which is just a way of saying, hey, where are you, pretty much. But ladies and gentlemen, I am John C. Morley, serial entrepreneur. It's always such a privilege, a pleasure, and honor to be with you guys here on Inspirations for Your Life. I hope that you guys, if you have not already set some promises to yourself, that you make the choice and do that right away. All right, everyone, have yourself a great rest of your night.